Hello, I am Lily Vergara, and today I have the honor of presenting to you a remarkable figure in American history, Miss Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, a woman whose name deserves to be spoken alongside the great leaders of justice and change of the 19th century. Fra- Frances Ellen Watkins Harper was born September 24th, 1825, in Baltimore, Maryland. She was born a free Black woman in a slave-holding state. However, she was orphaned at the young age of 3 years old, where she was then raised by her uncle, Reverend William Watkins, who was a civil rights activist and an abolitionist. Through his influence, Harper grew up to be involved in education, activism, and her faith. Frances, at 14, was already working as a teacher for school, and in time, she used her talents to write and teach. But she wasn't just any kind of teacher. She became a trailblazer for justice by using her words and voice to push for change in society. Now, who is Frances Ellen Watkins Harper? She was many things. She was an abolitionist, a poet, a novelist, a feminist, a teacher, and a public speaker slash figure. But above all of that, she had a passion and she advocated for freedom, equality for all, but especially for Black Americans and women. Now, why Frances Ellen Watkins Harper? I chose Harper as my topic because of everything she has done in her career. She was a pioneer in multiple movements. Harper was active in abolition, women's suffrage, and Black civil rights. But she didn't just participate, she led them. She even helped found key organizations. She spoke across the country and she pushed for change. Not only that, her voice, her words, she spoke truth to power. She broke barriers. She was the first Black woman public speaker. She was a published author, and her speeches and books helped reshape how people viewed race and gender in America. She didn't hold back. She challenged white suffragists to include Black women. She spoke out about slavery cruelty. She addressed injustice, and without ever losing her humanity or hope. She believed in uplifting other people. It wasn't about fame or personal gain. It was about uplifting those who were forgotten, formerly enslaved, poor women, working class families. And though she didn't physically help end slavery, her words touched so many people's lives. And it seems that she has been forgotten. Most people know the names of Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony, but Harper should also be in the running. She was a hero who deserved more recognition. Now, her contributions, there were quite a few. She didn't just stop at the written word. She became one of the first Black women to speak publicly on political issues, and she toured the country as a lecturer for the American Anti-Slavery Society, where she stood in front of crowds, many of them hostile because she was a Black woman speaking out. But she did it courageously. She talked about slavery, racism, and injustice, and she risked her safety. She was born a free woman in a slave-holding country, and yet she still spoke about injustice. She put herself at risk for basic human decency of other people. And not only that, after the Civil War, she turned her focus to the rights of newly freed Black people, especially Black women. She worked with organizations like the Freedmen's Bureau where she helped formerly enslaved people gain access to education and jobs. She also she was co-founder of the National Association of Colored Women, where she worked alongside Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, and she also spoke out for women's suffrage, but she didn't blindly support it. She called out the racism within it because Black women's voices must be heard and included in the fight for voting rights, not just white women. She overall helped enslaved people. She freed Black Americans, women, poor workers, and of the oppressed of all kinds. Now, some key insights I found in my research were that Harper often compares issues. One of the examples that I read were about the temperance movement, about the alcohol, to racism, and how many people will not see outside of themselves. African Americans, Black people, they will call out racism, and many other people will not understand until you give them a comparison that they personally are affected by. The temperance movement, they were taking away their rights for alcohol. Racism, they're taking away their voting rights. People wanted more rights, but people did not understand what they were asking for until she had to make multiple comparisons over the course of her career, and I really appreciated that. Harper's writing and her characters were all fictional, yet they tell real stories in ways people will understand. As a reader, I love when I can connect to a story, and for her writing was so amazing because they were fictional, but yet they felt so real. They felt like real people. And of course, you want to see change for those people. So, of course, people started following her. And I also read that she did help many African Americans, African American men, women, but I loved how she mostly, at the end of the day, supported women. Because at the end of the day, African American men still had more rights before women. The voting, the women's suffrage, it was still white women speaking. And I love that she said Black women's voices should be heard in these conversations. I really appreciate that she said that because even in society now, women's rights are still being questioned to this day. And I think that she started a whole thing where she's like, everyone needs to be heard, not just the people you think should be heard. And Harper was a Black woman. As I said, she was a free woman in a slaveholding state, and yet she still wasn't afraid to speak boldly. She brought up every issue when she was in a safe place. She did not need to. She was in a good environment with people, yet she still spoke about injustice that she saw because she did not like people being treated unfairly in the same area as her. I just really appreciated that about her. And Harper's works can be applied to this day. We've seen Black Lives Matter, how we're still trying to combat oppression, and yet I feel like we don't really talk about her writing, anything that she did. I feel like she's not brought up as much as she should, but I feel like to this day, we are still dealing with oppression. It may not be for African Americans. Lately, it has been for immigrants. And I still feel like we should be focusing on this. And I really liked that I was able to read more about her writings and learn more about her as a person. It was very interesting to learn. Now, my personal impact, I really liked and I really connected to her. It made me want to be better. It made me want to think outside of myself and help others because she was in a place where she did not need to speak. She was safe enough. She was not personally affected. Her family was free, and yet she still spoke out. And I really loved that because she reminds us that our words have power. She did not need to fight her way through, to start war. All she did was use her words. And courage can be quiet, but it's unshakable. And this one woman was armed with compassion, and it helped so many people. She wasn't just a witness to history. She helped to make it. She built it. And I feel like we should honor her by lifting our own voices when we see injustice. And we need to follow by her example. She did it herself years ago in a way like the environment was so much worse compared to now. And I feel like we should learn more about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper in history. Thank you.